I'm Jessie David from Metal Wani, and joining me is Neil Fallon from Clutch. How's it going today?
It's going great. How are you?
Not too shabby at all. So you're getting ready to hit up a pretty sweet festival, INKcarceration, which is the home of Shawshank Prison. Are you excited for this? Do you still get excited about gigs?
I had no idea that was the home of Shawshank Prison until right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
I knew it was in some kind of correctional facility. I didn't know it was that. To answer your question, yeah, sure. I mean, this is a awesome job. We get to entertain people and travel the world. I mean, what's to complain about, really? We're lucky to be able to do it.
Do you think you're going to have time to actually explore the prison, or is it just going to be go, go, go?
It's a one-off for us, so it'll probably be a lot of that go, go, go. We'll fly in, do the show, and then fly back out because we have a long tour coming up in September, so our time at home is premium. It's cool to do, shows in these unique spots. We've done a couple gigs in prisons before, which, it's maybe not the most positive place to hang out, but it of course has its history, and I think we kind of get off on that a bit.
Oh, 100%. It has its own edge to it. So when you're playing a festival compared to a concert venue, a club show, or even a prison venue, do you find that you have a different set list for those shows?
I think we try to, when we do a headlining show in a club, we know that the vast majority of the people there know the band and probably know a lot more material, and that gives us a little more leeway to delve deeper into songs that we wouldn't maybe do at a festival. And usually festivals are shorter set lists, so we try to cram in as much as we can, usually from more recent material. But headlining shows in clubs, we'll go farther back into the music. I think festivals is a good chance for new people to see any artist for the first time, and I think we're no exception.
Which do you prefer, playing a festival or a club show?
It really depends. I mean, I think a club show, because everyone's inside a box, it's easy to get more engaged because they're just physically closer to us and vice versa, and it's a bit more of a pressure cooker. But, there's something to be said, about playing outside just as long as, the weather holds out, and I think it's a bit more relaxing. I think each one has its merits.
I saw you, I saw Clutch 2 years ago, I want to say, in Vaughan, and luckily the weather was fine, so that was kind of nice. It was an add-on bonus.
Yeah, those festivals in Europe are run really well, and we're going to be doing a couple of those here coming up quick, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, I can imagine. They're some of my favorite festivals, too. Your upcoming album, Book of Bad Decisions, it's set for release of September 7th, and I know Psychic Warfare, some of your inspiration kind of came from personal experiences. If we look at the song Decapitated Blues, it's about your surgery. So for this upcoming album, did your inspiration come again from more personal experiences?
Yeah, there's a bit more of that. I mean, I think that approach is still new to me because I shied away from it for so many years. And I always take a great amount of poetic license with that because you kind of have to make things exciting. We're doing this now for 25 years, and there's got to be at least a few stories I can, get inspiration from.
What do you do when you face writer's block?
Drink heavily.
Don't we all?
Then I wake up the next day and I look at my strokes of genius and they're completely illegible, and 9 times out of 10 it's garbage. I think the best times to write are either first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Your writer's block sometimes is usually what has to happen before that watershed moment, and I think it happens to anyone, and sometimes it's important just to take a step away. Usually the best ideas come when least expected, like sitting at a red light or washing dishes. But when, at least for myself, when I sit down and say, oh, I'm going to write lyrics now, it doesn't come on demand.
So why the name Book of Bad Decisions?
Well, that's named after one of the songs. The third track of the record is called Book of Bad Decisions, and we really kind of wrung our hands about what to call the record. And I think we're all wary of naming the album after one of the songs because that always puts that song into the limelight. But after talking about it, it seemed that that title encompassed all the songs in some way or another, and it lent itself to being inclusive of all those things.
For the album, you've been working with producer Vance Powell, who's worked with the White Stripes, Red Fang. How has this experience been, and how has it really shaped the sound of the album?
Well, Vance has a live sound background, which is important for us, and his majority of the stuff he's done in the past has been country music. He has worked with rock and roll, like you just mentioned, but it doesn't really matter what the genre is. The fundamentals of recording remain the same, and he's a fantastic engineer and is able to, he knows how to put the right microphone in the right spot, and we recorded it as live as possible, the four of us in the room, and of course we did some overdubs, but I think it's a very dynamic sounding record, and it was important for us to record something that we could also get up on stage and live up to. In this day and age, it's easy to sit behind a laptop and make impossible things, but it's almost, you can't replicate that on stage honestly, and I think honestly is very important.
You just announced your North American tour, and I thought this was kind of great. You're giving fans a physical copy of the upcoming album if they buy tickets in advance. And I love that idea, but are you doing this because of streaming sites?
Probably, you could make both arguments. I mean, streaming is huge. I mean, 80% of sales of music these days is either digital or streaming. I mean, I listen to Spotify all the time. It's a great way to discover music you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And it's, we own our own record label, so we have to think about these things that normally we wouldn't otherwise. And, if someone wants to download the record, they can download it from that ticket, or they can get a physical copy of it. And it's important to try to keep your head above water because there's so much out there. It's easy to get lost in the shuffle.
So do you think that nowadays it's more easy to just throw in the new album to help promote the tour?
Yeah, I think so. We put out albums to support our tour. I think Motorhead said the same thing. They said we write records to support our tour as opposed to the idea of you go on tour to support your record. We've been on tour for 27 years, more or less, and that's still what it's all about for us. I mean, putting out a record is great, but it doesn't even come close to the satisfaction of getting up on stage and having that transient moment where you make someone real happy and they leave having had a good time. And it's the same for us.
What's it like when you're on stage and someone's mouthing the lyrics back to you?
It's a fantastic feeling knowing that these are lyrics that I wrote in my basement, and this person who I've never met liked it enough to memorize them, whether they realize it or not. And that's a very special thing, and I'm glad that Clutch has the fans that we do. They're very passionate about what we do, and it's not as if we suffer from the feel-good hit of the summer. These people, they put in the time to get to know the music, and that's a wonderful thing.
We're not just rocking out the space grass. We love all of it. So I don't know if you heard this, but the Flaming Lips said that for Record Store Day next year, they want to release a vinyl with Miley Cyrus's P right in it. And I wanted to ask if you think Clutch would do something, we'll call it bizarre, for a vinyl release like that.
What do they want to do?
They want to add Miley Cyrus's P right in the vinyl.
Okay, go ahead.
But do you think that Clutch would maybe do something bizarre like that?
I don't even have to talk to the rest of the band about that. I can say unequivocally no. Well, we'll put out some music and, maybe put it in a nice package. That's about as exotic as we get.
I like
try
it.
to stay away from urine, whether it's celebrity or pedestrian.
And today is the 70th anniversary of vinyl. Vinyl's turning 70 today, so I wanted to ask you what your favorite vinyl was.
Favorite vinyl? Well, I grew up listening to my dad's vinyl, there's a lot of Dylan and Beatles, but as far as my own, I still don't get sick of Dark Side of the Moon. I know we've heard it 1,000 times, but I think it never gets old for me, and that's one of the few vinyl records that I actually take out the time to listen to, because it's in vinyl.
Once a classic, always a classic. Well, the Book of Bad Decisions drops September 7th. I'm so stoked for it, and I can't wait to see you guys. You're going on tour. I'll be catching you in Toronto for sure, but I wanted to ask you one last thing. Is there anything you'd like your fans to know?
Thank you for supporting the band. We're 27 years this August, and come see the live show. We'll just keep on going as long as we can, and we'll see you out there.